It's Thursday, February 23rd, and time for your Barbados Today morning update. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Thanks for joining us. A noted political scientist foresees only one final outcome to the bitter court battle between the central bank governor, Dr. DeLisle Worrell, and Finance Minister Chris Sinclair. This as Worrell and his legal team, led by attorney Gregory Nichols, head to the appeals court today. Worrell is challenging his dismissal by the finance minister from the island's premier financial institution, which occurred over a week ago. However, he remained on the job after securing 2 High Court injunctions. Dr. George Bell tells Barbados Today even if Worrell were to win his case, there was simply no turning back for the embattled governor, who in the face of recent economic pressure has been fighting to protect his professional reputation.
Even if he won, if the governor then won, and the courts might say, I can't force you back on your employer. It's not if you're not going to be able to work with them. So the best thing then is to fulfill the contract in the sense that the government will have to pay you and give you whatever else insurance, and at the same time you don't go back to work. I think that they did that seemingly to me in the case of the commissioner of police, and that is the courts. I think that is one way which it can go, that they will have to pay him off and you be told, you can't go back to work, and therefore you fill the post for the time being with the acting governor. The acting governor now has to be close enough to the party or to the government's policies to say that he will cooperate with what they need, if it is printing of money or whatever else. And they have up to the time of the election.
Bale says Sinclair will not suffer the same fate, even though critics are eager to see the back of the minister.
Surely the cabinet and the prime minister will ultimately have to wear him, right along with Chris Sinclair. So you cannot put the blame on Chris Sinclair now and say, let's get rid of Chris Sinclair. It's not Chris Sinclair's fault that the policies have failed. It is the entire government's fault. It's the entire cabinet's fault, and ultimately it's the prime minister's fault. These are the people that would have to go. And the only way that such can happen is if you call a general election. So let the people decide now at this stage, because they never took the responsibility, the prime minister never took the responsibility of leadership to get rid of his finance minister. So he had to be saying that the finance minister was carrying out his instructions and the cabinet was in agreement with him. I mean, we operate on a collective responsibility within the Westminster system. Mm-hmm. So it's at that point you're saying now that the thing has failed. It is the entire government that has failed. And therefore, in a situation like that, you have to see what is the opinion now of the electorate. Mm-hmm. So go to the polls.
In other news, police investigations continue into a shooting incident that left a teenager nursing a wound to his thigh. Dunstan McDonald Powlett of 6th Avenue, New Orleans, St. Michael, was shot in his right thigh while at the Nursery Terminal. The incident occurred around 4:30 yesterday afternoon. Powlett was reportedly involved in an altercation with a group of men when he was shot. He was taken to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital by private vehicle for treatment. Meantime, the University of the West Indies Caval campus is conducting its own investigations into Tuesday's stabbing incident. The incident, which occurred on campus, resulted in a Kindle Licorice of Freehill Blackrock sustaining multiple wounds to his hands and right side during an altercation with another student who was also injured. In a statement, the university condemned the incident, saying it did not condone the use of physical violence to settle disputes or differences. It said the probe into the matter, which is also under police investigation, would be a priority in order to determine whether disciplinary action should be taken. Some sporting action now. Blue House are the athletic champions at Princess Margaret Secondary School, competing at the National Stadium yesterday. They totaled 766 points to register a narrow 45 points victory over defending champs Red House, who scored 721 points. Taking third position was Grid House with 597 points, and fourth place, Purple House with 577. 7 records were broken on the day in the boys under 17 400 meters, the under 20 boys 400, 200 and 100 meters, the under 13 girls 200 and 100 meters, and the under 13 boys 100 meters. Royal Clerk of Blue House was Victor Ludorum, and the Victric Ludorum honours were shared between Shemaiah Scott of Red House and Andisa Puckering of Purple House.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
It's the celebration of agriculture, 50 years and beyond. Come and experience this year's AgroFest exhibition at the historic Queen's Park on February 24th to 26th.
Box offices: Barbados Agricultural Society, Roberts Manufacturing Feed Store, Clear Vision Optical, Massey Stores Barbados Limited, Worthing, Sunset Crest, Oystons and Sky Mall, Massey Stores Home, Sheraton and Pierhead, Cape Shepherd Broad Street, Waterworld Pet Shop, Jordan's Complex Spikestown, Ticket Centre, Massey Supercentre Warrings. Be there.
Regionally, Bahamas Prime Minister Perry Christie tells a United Nations symposium for small island developing states his country is at a disadvantage when it comes to qualifying for international funding to achieve the 2030 sustainable goals. He made the comments at the opening of the three-day symposium underway in Nassau.
Those goals speak to vital areas like climate change, energy, while being people-focused, dealing with areas of youth and crime. The Prime Minister says the symposium should address how small island developing states can achieve these goals, given their unique challenges. Using our country and its archipelagic makeup, he outlined how it is an expensive undertaking to duplicate infrastructure on various islands.
There is a compelling urgency for infrastructural development as a catalyst to economic development. And therein lies the great challenge to our country. That when you apply the per capita income test to the Bahamas, you are being unfair to the Bahamas, insofar as our geophysical structure is concerned and the differing stages of development of our country.
The Prime Minister stressed that despite our challenges and membership in international organizations, we're still not able to benefit from crucial funding. Mr. Christie says his government has made a determination to stop paying the insurance and reinvest the money into its own resources.
And finally, the United Nations Secretary General says there is no excuse for inaction or indifference when it comes to the situation facing the people of South Sudan, Nigeria, Somalia, and Yemen. He says the situation in those countries are dire, with millions of people barely surviving in a space between malnutrition and death. However, he says the situation is preventable if the international community takes decisive action.
These four crises are very different, but they have one thing in common. They are all preventable. They all stem from conflict, which we must do much more to prevent and resolve. But even now, we can prevent the worst effects if we act urgently and strongly. The lives of millions of people depend on our collective ability to act, and in our world of plenty, there is no excuse for inaction or indifference. We have heard the alerts. Now there is no time to lose. And I don't want to need the images of children dying in big numbers, alerting the public conscience of states to allow for them to finally come with their support. This is the moment in which this support can not solve, naturally, many of the problems that exist, and they are already very dramatic, but prevent the worst.
And that's our news and sports update, but there is more on our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals or screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you, or you can tune into Channel 99 on Flow TV or Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good morning.